The first story, white face. At one time, my wife and I lived in an apartment with my mother-in-law. It was a standard to bedroom apartment. But if there are bad apartments, this is the one. There are a lot of strange stories related to it. I'm not going to describe them all. I'll just mention the worst ones. To begin with, the last tenant of this apartment, before my future mother-in-law moved in, hanged himself in it. No one knows why. But the fact remains, although, to be honest, I never attached much importance to this. Well, what little had happened here before. In almost every apartment in old houses, someone died. There were cases even worse than suicide, for sure. So now it has to be scary everywhere. But whatever the case, I couldn't help but remember it. So here it is, during the time that my mother-in-law lived here. She saw all sorts of things. There used to be a big dressing table against one wall of the apartment, a chest of drawers with a big mirror, and then one night, my mother-in-law woke up with a strange feeling that someone was looking at her. She opened her eyes, and a white face cautiously poked out from behind the dresser, about 40 centimeters above the floor. The features seem to be human, but everything is white. Even a kind of glow dot. It doesn't look scary, but you can feel that it has some evil intentions. So it came out and slowly went back. Then again, first the crown appeared, then the eyes, the nose. And now the whole face moved out again, and it was staring straight ahead. My mother-in-law says that out of fear, she couldn't think of anything smarter than to send this face loudly at the top of her voice to a place where it probably hadn't been before, and the face disappeared. Another night, long threads that looked like hair slowly floated out of the mirror on the same dressing table. They stretched for a good meter, but then disappeared. Later, when my son and daughter were born, the miracle made itself felt again. My son, my wife's brother, when he was 5 years old, often woke up at night and ran to his mother, saying that he was being strangled by Baba Yaga, who was coming out of the corner. This was repeated several times, and then the boy really started to choke. Doctors said he had asthma. Much later, when my brother was already living in another apartment and my mother-in-law was away, my wife woke up in the morning to someone walking around the apartment. She says she could clearly hear footsteps, and the floor there creaks really badly, moving from the hallway to the kitchen and back. She didn't have the courage to check what was going on, so she just closed the door to her room. The footsteps froze, but then resumed again and, judging by the sound, came right up to the bedroom door. The wife recalls what she thought at the time. If the door opens now, my heart will definitely stop. But no, the footsteps simply disappeared. And this is only part of what happened in that apartment. But I saved the most interesting case, which I personally witnessed, for last. Second story, the night guest. It happened just about a year ago, maybe even less. And I can say without a doubt that this is the most eerie, inexplicable moment that has ever happened to me. I didn't even think that I would actually see something like this, but that's how it happens. In short, it happened, as usual, at night. My wife and I woke up at the same time, and no one understood why. We just woke up and that was it. I even had the feeling that I had been having a nightmare before, and my wife says she had something similar, a little to the left. And opposite our bed is a wardrobe with large mirrors on the doors. And in these mirrors, you can see what is happening in the next room, more precisely, part of the room and the door to the balcony. This is, of course, assuming that the door to the room is open. But that's exactly what happened then. And so, when I woke up, my wife screamed in fright and said that someone was in the room. At first, I didn't understand where she was pointing and thought it was something in our room. But it turned out that she was seeing something in the mirror. At first, my wife thought it was my mother-in-law, her mother. To be exact, coming home from the day she works as an ambulance doctor, and very rarely when she gets a call near the house. She runs into the apartment for 5 minutes, and she said loudly, "Mom, is that you?" Silence. My wife screams again and keeps pointing to the mirror, saying that someone is standing by the balcony. It was then that I finally realized where to look and saw the picture. In the reflection, I could clearly see a black silhouette standing by the balcony. It is quite human, but it is standing motionless. And its head appears to be turned towards the balcony, not towards our room. My wife asks again, "Mom," and at that moment, the shadow turns its head toward the sound and steps into our room. My wife screams and covers herself with a blanket. I jump up and grab a flashlight from the table. I have no idea why I took the flashlight and didn't turn on the light. I run to the next room. There is no one near the balcony. I open the door to the balcony and shine the flashlight in all the corners. Still no one. That's when I thought about turning on the light in the apartment. I go around all the nooks and crannies, but I don't see anything else, to be honest. At that moment, I didn't think about any miracle at all. I only thought that someone had entered the apartment while we were sleeping. How? That's another question. Because the front door is locked with 2 locks and the balcony is glazed. The windows are also locked, but I thought only in that direction. Of course. I didn't find anyone. It was only then that I got scared. I could see the shadow clearly, and it was moving, not a collective hallucination. It was uncomfortable to sleep afterwards, for sure. And we didn't even turn off the light in the next room, but it wasn't really funny then. I never saw anything else like that in that apartment. Except for one case, when we were sitting in the kitchen. And at that moment, both taps in the bathroom suddenly turned on full blast. I have no idea how this is possible, but after that night with the shade by the balcony, it was somehow calmer. The third story, you'll be back here again. Well, how can you do without strange dreams? In general, I've never had any prophetic dreams, and I rarely remember them, and even if I do, the dream turns out to be some kind of nonsense. There are exceptions, but not often. But once I had a dream that I think was not just a dream. I dreamt that I was with a group of people of different ages in a clearing in the forest. It was early autumn or early spring. It's all the same here. The colors were all gray and gloomy. The people next to me, like myself, don't understand how they ended up here. We start to get to know each other, tell each other where we are from, and it turns out that we are from completely different cities. At the moment when we start thinking about what to do next, she appears. She is a girl of about 25 years old, of ordinary appearance, but very tall. Her hair is cut short. She says that she knows who we are and where we came from, and that she will explain everything too. U.S. She said that we were either in another world or in some other reality, but we are here for a reason. We have been called for a purpose. He doesn't say what the purpose is, but says that we will soon find out for ourselves. After the conversation, he takes us to the city. It's just a small and depressing town in the province, with old houses 5 stories high at most. The streets are deserted. There are almost no people, and everything is somehow sad, like it's abandoned. We are taken to a kind of canteen where we are given food coupons and some money. There is also a kiosk dating back to the 90s with a lady selling food. I noticed that the kiosk sells almost the same products as ours, but slightly different. I remember that there was a Snickers with a typical design, but I can't say for sure if it was called something like Knockers. After our entire company, we were shown around the city. I remember that there were rusty railroad tracks running nearby. Someone asked where they led, and our guide replied that there used to be another city there, bigger than this one. But now you can't go there. She didn't say why, only that our work would be connected with it. By then it was getting dark for some reason. The guide took us back to the same clearing in the forest. We started to set up camp there. Why we couldn't stay the night in the city, I don't know. When we were almost settled and it was completely dark, a green light appeared somewhere in the depths of the forest. It began to flare up, and soon the whole forest was burning with a green light. It even became light. The guide picked us up and led us in its direction. We came to a pond, the water in which was glowing brightly. But it was definitely not the source of the fire. Then we were taken back to the camp. I remember that at that moment, a thought flashed through my mind. It's all a dream. I'll wake up soon. And then the guide turned to me and said, "This is not a dream. You will come back here tomorrow." And I woke up. I woke up with the feeling that I had really experienced all this. Then I walked around like a zombie all day. Those words, "you will come back here," kept going through my head. I went to bed in fear, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. That night, I didn't dream about anything like that, but then, with breaks of a day or two, I would return there again in my dreams. Nothing much new happened. And for some reason, I remembered those dreams worse. I even wrote this story on ****** a few years ago. There was a big thread about it. And some anonymous people wrote that they had also been to this place in their dreams, but I think that's just fantasy. And if not, it's even more interesting. I've been trying to find this thread, but so far it's not working out, which is a shame, because I've forgotten a lot of things myself. It would be cool to reread and remember the details. It would be awesome if someone finds it.